broken people, really describing that the once love that they had for each other, and then just seeing that demise and seeing that really roller coaster come down there. And it's been tragic to say the least here, but we are awaiting this moment, everyone, right here on Live and Now from Fox. The clock has ticked. It is now 3 o'clock Eastern. This is the moment that we have been waiting for. The judge is in. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
Please be seated. Come up.
All right. I understand we have a verdict. All right. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you. If I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
And we continue to wait right now. Amber Heard, we see front and center. The lawyers just went to speak to the judge at her request. We continue to wait for this moment right here on Live Now from Fox.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay?
And really, the drama continues right now as the judge has asked the jury to go back in. They have to file and redo some of their paperwork. Right now, you see Amber Heard there standing with her attorneys here, and really you felt
so
that
we'll be in recess till we
anticipation.
hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay?
Okay, so she just instructed Amber Heard and the rest of everyone to not go too far. But as I was saying, you were feeling that anticipation inside of the courtroom, and now we wait some more. Let's bring in right now my co-host, Daytona Everett. You've been with me all day today on this, and now we wait, Daytona.
Yeah, yet another delay in this. Unfortunately, probably shouldn't take too long, I would imagine. So we're going to be staying in full coverage inside of the courtroom, also outside of the courtroom where we have some podiums that are set up to get some analysis on this. Though I want to bring in Ken Belkin. He's on the line virtually with us to talk about what is going on inside of the courtroom. There has been a bit of a delay in this, Ken. Why is that, and what happens now?
It looks to me like they have to fill out the verdict sheet more accurately, or
completely. Jurors are not lawyers, and they're given a sheet to fill out with respect to the damages. It looks like it wasn't filled out completely, and they need to just go back in there and address it. It seems like, they've already got a verdict, so they just have to dot their I's and cross their T's with respect to the details on the verdict sheet that this court uses.
So let's talk about that verdict sheet, because I've looked at it myself and it's pretty confusing. It's not super straightforward. This is different than a different type of case where it's like a murder case or something. This is defamation, and they have to fill it out pretty intricately with those dollar amounts. What have you made of the sheet there?
Well, they have to first reach the question of liability, and then they have to determine, how, if there is liability, on which side, who's liable to who. Is Amber Heard liable to Johnny Depp for her alleged defamation of him in her Washington Post op-ed article, or is he liable to her in her countersuit? And they have to reach the question of liability first, and then once that question is reached, they have to determine how much the damages are here. It's one thing that one person be liable to the other, but the other question is for how much. Did, Depp's team establish an amount of damages that this court can award, or did Heard's team establish an amount of damages for this court to award? And we're going to see the answer to those questions, I imagine, within the hour.
Okay, so you think within the hour they'll be able to go back and kind of fix some of those changes and come back and be able to read it in full here?
Yeah, it seems like they've already made a decision on the ultimate issues here. They just have to, figure out what the numbers look like.
What's Remote 30?
Okay, so we're going to be watching for that. Ken, as we move forward here into the rest of the day, after the verdict is read, what happens then? How quickly do things kind of go into pace? How quickly could potentially one of them get the money? I know that maybe there's a lot of moving parts in that, but defamation cases, what does that usually look like?
Well, look, in any civil lawsuit setting, it's one thing to win the case. It's another thing to get the money. And what I mean by that, I'm not trying to be coy, but the reality is, if there is a substantial amount awarded to either side, these are both moneyed parties. They can afford attorney's fees. I imagine that they're probably going to appeal it. And on appeal, attempt to get the appeals court to either, invalidate the verdict or to knock down the damages awards on some question of law that was decided wrongly at the trial. Or what they're going to do is, potentially appeal it, and then it might be settled on appeal, meaning the parties might, while the appeal is pending, reach an agreement as to how much is to be paid. That's one aspect. That's assuming that there's going to be an appeal. And I think if there is a substantial amount of money, if $50 million is awarded to one of these parties, or $100 million in Amber Heard's case, which she's asking for, it really makes sense to appeal it, because you're not going to spend $50 million on an appeal. They may spend, $100,000 or a couple $100,000 on an appeal, depending on what lawyer they use, what firm they use. But it would make sense probably to try and, as a last-ditch effort, to appeal it. Now, if there is no appeal, and the parties decide to just, accept the verdict, they could pay that. The parties could be paid within a certain amount of time, probably not that long. The other thing is, if there's a verdict and, one of the parties decides that they're going to try and, evade the verdict, the party that is won would have to get a judgment and file that judgment with the clerk's office and begin enforcement proceedings on the judgment. Meaning, let's say, for example, if Johnny Depp wins against Amber Heard, and let's say he wins $10 million and she doesn't pay him that $10 million, what he would be able to do is take that judgment, and to enforce it, he could go after her bank accounts, he could put liens on assets that she owns, and get the judgment satisfied that way. But, sometimes people can evade judgments. You look at O.J. Simpson, he won the criminal case, but he lost the wrongful death case, the civil case. And there was a very substantial judgment against him. I believe, and I'm going off memory, it was tens of millions of dollars. And what he did to evade that judgment, he was very savvy. He bought a home in Florida and he moved to Florida. And in Florida, if you have a home in Florida, that home is immune from judgments if it is your primary home due to the Homestead Act. So there are things that, savvy lawyers and individuals can do to evade having to pay judgments.
I have to assume a lot of those things likely will come into play here. Both of these parties never backing down. Let's remember, Ken, this isn't the first type of litigation that this couple has been involved in. They have been in lawsuits before.
Yes, this is a highly litigious couple. Everything down to their divorce, to the UK defamation action that Mr. Depp launched against, I believe it was the Sun. They're highly litigious, and these are wealthy individuals. They have the money to spend on attorneys. A lot of people don't have the money to spend on attorneys, and they have to make more pragmatic decisions when it comes to litigation. They have the benefit of not having to be pragmatic at all. And I don't say that to be glib or funny, but it's true. He's got, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. He can afford some lawyers to appeal this if he's lost. He can afford, to go and try and evade the judgment through creative means. And so can she, for that matter. And it doesn't look like any ground has been given. I have to imagine any judgment that's rendered here as a result of the verdict, I get the feeling that whoever the liable party is, they're probably going to try and avoid paying even 1 red cent to the other, because there is such acrimony on both sides here.
Boy, and we've seen that play out there all in real time there. I've got a question too, just as far as right now we're dealing with house cleaning pretty much as the jury is asked to fill out more of this paperwork for the verdict here, for the monetary aspect of it. But so maybe just explain for our viewers here, when a verdict comes in, and does anybody see that until the judge is going to read it out?
No one should see a verdict until it's read into the record and the verdict sheet is incorporated into the record by the judge. That verdict sheet is the confidential work of the jury right now, and until such time as it's read into the record by the court or brought into the record by the court, it's not. No one's going to see it. No one should see it anyway.
And really, as we were looking there in Amber Heard, because she was the only one there before in this party, obviously Johnny Depp not there, you have the buildup of the judge coming out, and then it almost plays out like a Hollywood script to give you sort of a cliffhanger right now.
Yeah, we are all waiting with bated breath. If I were any of these attorneys, I would not be going too far from the courtroom to get my afternoon cup of coffee, because we're gonna, this is a big case, and these attorneys all have a lot on the line, and the parties all have a lot on the line. I mean, we're talking about very substantial amounts of money.
Well, there you have it. Ken Belkin, thank you so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox, breaking it down ahead of the verdict and now breaking it down for this delay, which we'll be watching inside of the courtroom as things continue to move forward. Hopefully, like you said, within the hour, we'll be getting another readout. No stalling, hopefully anymore, and it'll just come out here, and we'll be able to get some much warranted answers. Ken, thanks again for being with us. We are going to continue to stay on this full coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial here as we are in somewhat of a recess, I guess you could say, just a little bit of a delay with this readout going to be coming within the next hour or really any moment here. We have a couple of different live looks, Mike, if you want to pop up some of the shots from outside of this Fairfax County courtroom. I hadn't really heard much about this courtroom, Mike, until this trial right here. There have been thousands of people flocking to Fairfax County to try to just get a glimpse of Johnny Depp as he goes inside every single day, shows up with his driver. Amber Heard also showing up with her driver. She is getting some booze. He is getting some "we love you, Johnnies." That has been all of the semantics kind of surrounding this defamation case that has everybody on the edge of their seat, including me, Mike, including you.
Yep.
We're hoping to get some answers here pretty soon. But we've been playing out some of those highlights.
Yeah, we really have. And yeah, anticipation continues to grow, no doubt about it, Daytona. And thank you again for being here as my co-anchor during this really a big time here that we continue to wait for the moment. If you just are joining us here on Live Now from Fox, the jury was sent back to fill out some paperwork regarding the verdict here. So there was that anticipation. And then there's this lull right now. The lull only for a little bit. Any moment, the judge could come out and the jury could come back at any moment. That's why we say, hey, just stay with it. We're not going anywhere. All of the commercial breaks have been blown out. And right now, oh, here it is. Here it is. So let's listen in right here on Live Now from Fox, as it looks like maybe the jury could be coming pretty soon right here on Live Now from Fox as we continue to wait for this very big moment. We appreciate all our viewers around the country and around the world joining live right here, right now. In the meantime, while we do wait for the jury to get back in, as well as the judge, let's go out to our station from Fox 5 DC. They are covering this right now as well. Let's listen into a little bit of their coverage. Stay right here with us on Live Now from Fox.
Until this verdict comes down.
Let me ask you a quick question. Would you say that most of the people that are standing outside, are they from the DMV or have they traveled far and beyond to be a part of this moment?
I mean, it is, 3:15 on this Wednesday afternoon. So people sure seem to have been able to drop whatever they're doing and make it out here for this in the middle of the day. So we honestly just got to the scene here. We're hoping to be able to get to talk to some people here about what brought them out here. So certainly something we'll continue trying to figure out here.
All right, David, we'll stand by. We'll check back in with you. As we mentioned before, you're taking a look at the courtroom right now. It is empty. Well, not the judge's podium is empty because the judge has gone back, presumably to her chamber. She directed the jury to go back to their deliberation room to figure out some sort of monetary damage. Once again, though, we have not had any firm idea on the verdict. So as Katie Barlow mentioned, what that may indicate is that they conveyed to the judge that there was some sort of liability, although not clear on whose side.
You know, Jim, I have to say I was a bit surprised yesterday when the jury had that question about the headline of the op-ed, because it seems the whole premise of the case is surrounding that headline, and yet there was a question surrounding it. And now we're on, what, day 2 or day 3, 2.5 days that it's taken them for deliberation. So it seems to be that there is a lot of confusion setting up potentially at least an appeal for either side. Yeah,
you mentioned the headline. It's I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, and that seems to be at least something that caught the eye of the jury, determining, does that play a role in defamation? Was that something that Amber Heard said? Was that something that the Washington Post decided to put as the headline of that op-ed? Because in most cases it is.
And we go back out right here on Live Now from Fox as this is the moment here as the jury is coming back in. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
All right. Shall we try this again? All right. Let's do that. All right. We're ready for the jury. Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
All right. Is it unanimous? Yes. Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement, appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 27.
Yes.
Juror number 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial. I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you.
There we go, everyone, right here on Live Now from Fox. You've been watching live here for just this breaking news as the jury finds Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp, and you heard there the different types of damages as far as monetary concerns right there. And now the defense team shaking hands with each other right there as the jury is now leaving. Obviously, Johnny Depp was not there in the courtroom. Amber Heard was. She remained really had no impression on her face at the moment right there as it was being read out. Let's listen a little bit more here on Live Now from Fox if we can.
Then circulate it to Ms. Bretterhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned. Thank you.
All right, so court is now adjourned right there. That was the moment we heard, and we heard it from really around the country and around the world right there. Let's join now my co-host right here on Live Now from Fox, Daytona Everett, joining us here with the reaction. This was a moment.
Mike, there's a lot to break down here because technically, yes, the jury did find that Johnny Depp was defamed, but they also found to an extent that Amber Heard was defamed, the jury awarding Johnny Depp $15 million. Now, there's a lot to kind of dive into here. There's punitive damages, there's circumstances and questions that were asked of the jury on whether or not those specific headlines, those specific evidence presented in court was defamatory or not. I want to bring in Imran Ansari. He's a legal analyst who has been with us throughout this trial as well. Imran, so we know that Johnny Depp was defamed and the jury now saying, hey, $15 million worth, but also $2 million being awarded to Amber Heard. How does this all break down?
Yeah, Daytona, it's a really interesting verdict here. We sort of had the tide of this trial going in Johnny Depp's favor. And it's been a remarkable trial, really captivated the public's attention here to the point where we were almost spectating as if it was a sports match of some sort. And people were really saying Johnny Depp is going to get this. But we had to take a step back and look at this in the lens, under the lens, if I should say, of defamation law. And I think this jury was a very thoughtful jury because you have this verdict in favor of Johnny Depp on his claim against Amber Heard, but also finding defamation in favor of Amber Heard's counterclaim against Johnny Depp. They seem to have understood the nuances of defamation law, what needs to be proven, actual malice, which goes to that landmark Supreme Court case, New York Times versus Sullivan. And here you have a verdict in favor of Johnny Depp, but you got to also look at it as a verdict in favor of Amber Heard. Of course, the real damages here going to Johnny Depp in terms of that $15 million aggregate verdict in terms of damages assessed against Amber Heard, and then $2 million, though, for Amber Heard. So you see this jury, it's going to be very interesting if we hear from these jurors after this case as to the thought process behind it. But I think that they really saw during the course of this trial, Daytona, a really remarkable opening of the book, I should say, into a very unfortunate marriage. You know, we have to also look at it at this under the context of domestic violence, and really how domestic violence could be possibly perpetrated by both a man and a woman in the context of a relationship. Here are all the ugly details coming out in court for the public and those jurors to see.
Okay, so I'm still a little confused though. So we have the 15 million and then we have the 2 million. So would it be accurate to say that Johnny Depp won this defamation trial and he is now being awarded 13 million? Simple math here.
Well, no, you could break it down like that. Yeah, if you want to see, parse out both cases, both awards of damages, and then reduce the 2 million that he is now on the hook for Amber Heard's counterclaim. You could do that, or you could take it in a separate context and analyze what the jury considered in awarding damages. And of course, we heard from all those experts who came in and talked about Q scores on both sides and how Johnny Depp's value in Hollywood may have been diminished, roles he may have lost. And they had taken that into consideration, Daytona, in awarding that 15 million aggregate. But again, now you have $2 million also awarded to Amber Heard. Now let's think about that verdict right there. Of course, those were statements that went to Waldman, who was a representative, an attorney of Johnny Depp. He was able to be brought into that case, meaning Johnny Depp, based on this agency analysis under the law, saying that Waldman was his agent, therefore he would be liable for any defamatory statements that he may have made. And of course, now Johnny Depp is hit with that verdict. They did find defamation as to that one statement in the Daily Mail, and now there's $2 million that he owes to Amber Heard. So yes, you can look at it. All right, you got 15 million, but you also now owe the opposing party 2 million, so 13 million if you want to go practical.
Well, after this was all read off, I think it was Johnny Depp's legal team, could have been Amber Heard's, the judge asking if there was any objections to this, any last statements. They didn't object right now, but they did say, we will be back. What did you make of that?
So there's always the possibility of appeal, Daytona. There could be motions to set aside the verdict or challenge the amount of damages that were awarded here. There are a lot of possible routes for both parties if they want to challenge the verdict of this jury. Of course, you hear objections being laid out during the course of trial. That is to preserve for appellate not only what's going on in trial as of the moment, but also for appeal. If there's anything that's objectionable and the judge rules in a certain way that could be brought up on appeal, an attorney is going to latch on to that if a verdict is not in his or her favor. So we may see appeals from both sides of the coin here in this trial as to the respective verdicts that they have both had against them, because Johnny Depp won, but also Amber Heard won. So there's going to be two routes of appeal possibly from this verdict.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. The timeline, it was read today. How quickly could these damages be awarded to the other?
Right, so there's certain time periods. Of course, if there's an appeal, that's taken into consideration. Sometimes there's an agreement between the parties where a verdict or damages may be held in abeyance pending an appeal. But these are significant amounts of damages, no matter how you cut it. 15 million, of course, is a tremendous amount. But also $2 million is, that's no chump change right there. So there may be certain avenues that the parties may go about. But also typically after a verdict, at least here, let's say in New York State, it may be different down in Virginia, but I'm an attorney practicing here in New York. After certain procedures are done in court, you typically have about 20 days to pay out a verdict, some settlement or a verdict amount taken at trial, unless there is a motion to stay that damages pending appeal, and that's something that both these parties may seek to enforce in court.
Taking a step back, a little breather here, because, okay, we just got this verdict and this is what we have been waiting for. When you heard it come down, what was your initial reaction? Were you surprised? Did you kind of expect this? What are your initial thoughts?
I wasn't surprised at all, actually. I was actually surprised that they did award that one count to Amber Heard. As this court progressed Daytona in court, I felt more and more the odds were in Johnny Depp's favor. You saw the way Amber Heard testified during the trial, and I don't think it came across very credible. I don't think she was a likable witness, and I don't mean this to attack her in any way. There's certain demeanors and the way a witness comes off during trial, which goes to their credibility. And I really found that the jury latched on to Johnny Depp. And using as a litmus test, Daytona, the sort of court of public opinion and the way people rallied around Johnny Depp, you could take that as maybe a foreshadowing as to what this jury was going to do, because these jurors are everyday people. Right? So they're analyzing this evidence, they're considering the evidence, and then, of course, applying the law to that evidence as the judge gives it to them. But I wasn't surprised by the verdict. I thought that Johnny Depp had put on a case that the jury likely latched onto, and a narrative that they likely latched onto. And I don't think that Amber Heard was a very likable witness in this courtroom.
And I think it's interesting right now we're learning from our producers here that in the state of Virginia for punitive damages, it's actually capped at $350,000. So it looks like when it's all said and done that Johnny Depp, for that portion that he was getting, that $5 million, it looks like that it'll be capped there at that $350,000, and so it's all going to shake out there. But it's interesting to see how that plays out from the punitive side of this as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's an interesting point that you make, because there are statutory limitations to certain damages related to certain claims. So as you just pointed out, in Virginia, there's a cap. So although the jury comes back with certain amounts during damages, it's not uncommon that if they award above the damages, then the court will reduce it to meet that certain amount, which is allowed by the law. Of course, again, there's also challenges on appeal to damages, and if it's an excessive award, or there's appeals based on quote unquote runaway verdicts from juries, then the appellate court may reduce damages on appeal. So even though you have these amounts that play out in court, as I said, there's likely going to be challenges not only to the liability verdict during this trial, but also to the amount of damages awarded and whether the evidence adduced at trial supported it, or whether there's any statutory caps within the state of Virginia that would prevent certain amounts being awarded above that cap.
So once again, to recap for everyone who maybe is just joining us here, we have $15 million going to Johnny Depp, awarded from the jury, $2 million going to Amber Heard, both, defamation. This is across the board, a unanimous decision from the jury here, one that I guess a lot could say, hey, you win and you win. Johnny winning a little bit more in this case. Any last thoughts, Imran?
No, I think it's going to be really interesting to hear, from these jurors. I think that they're going to be possibly speaking to the media. That seems to be the trend these days on these high-profile trials. Of course, we've seen in recent history with some high-profile cases when jurors talk to the media afterwards, sometimes that lends itself to legal challenges based on what's learned from those jurors after that. But it's going to be interesting to hear what their thought process is, and also to see how the careers of both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard play out after this. A lot of people say Johnny Depp is going to have a real, comeback in Hollywood, whereas Amber Heard, her career is going to seriously suffer from this trial.
All great points. We really, really appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox and getting your insight, as always, as we bring you the very top stories revolving all around this verdict that just came in. So we appreciate you joining us here once again on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Just in case you're joining us, maybe coming in a little bit late to the news, maybe you heard about the news and now you're saying, hey, I want to see what everything is about, maybe some of the coverage. I want to take you back inside of the courtroom, and we're going to play out that verdict being read out as the jury continues to lay it out there as far as where they stand there in this trial here. We are also keeping an eye on outside of the courthouse here. If anybody comes to the podium, we're going to break in and bring that to you live right here on Live Now from Fox. But let's show you from inside that courtroom moments ago the verdict being read out.
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media used fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven, by clear and convincing evidence, that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10. Yes. Juror number 15. Yes. Juror number 16. Yes. Juror number 22. Yes. Juror number 27. Yes. Juror number 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial, and I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you.
And again, that was moments ago as everyone was watching live with us right here on Live Now from Fox. We do have some other breaking news right here that we want to get to, including Amber Heard's statement she just put out. So let me read this here to you. She says, the disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder still that I seem to have lost a right I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. And again, that was a statement just put out by Amber Heard just moments after that verdict was read out. Here is another live shot outside of the courthouse here as we continue to wait right here for maybe somebody to come up to the podium, defense, maybe lawyers. We will be waiting for that moment right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Now it looks like we do have a statement that was just made by Johnny Depp here. Let's pull that in for everyone right here on Live Now from Fox. And I'll read this out to you right here. Again, this is a statement by Johnny Depp saying, 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were leveled at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content. Although no charges were ever brought against me, it had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this cause, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought here. I want to continue that thought here and read out the statement a little bit later here on Live Now from Fox, but we do have a continuing breaking news. Coming to the podium right now is Johnny Depp's law team, and let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
To the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Have you spoken to Johnny? How is he feeling? How's Johnny feeling? Will Johnny and Amber ever speak to each other again? Ms. Vasquez, is this the end of the matter? Ms. Vasquez, will there be any
Okay, very brief statement there, but as expected, they came to the podium to give their encouragement there that they're happy with the jury's verdict right there. And we were bringing that to you right here live on Live Now from Fox. As you can see, we are a live, raw, and unfiltered feed, just bringing it to you as it comes in. And who knows who else might come to the podium there, but wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, of course, right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Let's now go out to, once again, my co-host, Daytona Everett, who has been with me all afternoon long. And what an afternoon it has been with this verdict coming down. We waited for it, we have it, and now the reactions are coming in.
Yeah, right there. That was Camille Vasquez. She is the head of the legal team for Johnny Depp and has made a name for herself specifically from this defamation trial. Stoked, saying that they are ready to turn the page and to move on, turn a new leaf, smiling from ear to ear here. And here's why. Here's the update on the verdict. There is damages of $10 million and then $350,000 punitive damages going for Johnny Depp. For Amber Heard, she got $2 million. Of course, defamation also going in her favor in that case. You might be wondering, because we said in the beginning $10 million and then $5 million in punitive. Well, there's a Virginia statutory cap on punitive damages. That means that if the jury awards more than $350,000, the judge is required by law to reduce the punitive damage award to the statutory cap of $350,000. This means that $5 million that Depp was awarded would be reduced to $350,000. So in total, he is looking at $8,350,000 for Johnny Depp. Sorry, a lot of numbers here, Mike, but this is, again, the update that we have because of that statutory cap there out in Virginia, but both saying defamation on the other here, and they did prove that there was actual malice in this case for Johnny Depp as well from Amber Heard in defamation. So that was big, that was substantial, and now he is going to be awarded that. The timeline of that somewhat unclear here, as there might be objections from Amber Heard's lawyers in this case, and you heard the response from Johnny Depp. He's clearly excited about it. Amber Heard, not so much.
No, not at all. And really, the one that I pick up a lot about on is Johnny Depp saying in that statement that we just read out to everybody that the jury gave me my life back. He talks about the last 6 years, how it's been a struggle when these accusations came against him, and then you really saw his Hollywood career dwindle. Now some would say, hey, now that this has really gone in Johnny Depp's favor, does he have a classic Hollywood rebound here? Because remember, in Hollywood, they love to build you up, they love to bring you down, and then sometimes they love to bring you back even higher. So we will wait and see on all of that. It's going to be very, very interesting as we are now entering a new hour here on Live Now from Fox Daytona. Thank you so much. Right now, I do want to kick it out to Fox 5 in D.C. Their coverage is ongoing. Let's listen to a little bit of what they have in their newscast right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody, as we continue with the very latest in the verdict that has been reached there for both sides, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right here on Live Now from Fox.
Word that we were getting a verdict around 3 o'clock, and it happened. And this is a game changer, Katie.